Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about the history of the Battle of Peleliu in LEGO, starting from the beach invasion all the way to the fighting at the airfield to the end of the battle. And I'm going to do this through two builds that I made. This one I've already done a detailed video on, but did not talk about the history, the whole landing beach and all that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of this video, and I'm going to then do a few time lapses and stuff like that to show me building the whole airfield build here. As you can see, I got a bit of the foundation going for it. But yeah, we're going to get started with this. We're going to start with me just talking a little bit, just a small little overview of this build that I have right here. And then we're going to start with the history, and then we're going to move on to the time lapses. So to talk about the history of the Battle of Peleliu, the Battle of Peleliu lasted from September 15th to November 27th, 1944, and it was one of the Pacific's bloodiest battles, and the primary goal of this whole battle and taking Peleliu was to secure the airfield on Peleliu to support the invasion of the Philippines. So one thing I wanted to showcase while I was going and doing this was that even though the beach landing itself was deadly and hard fought, it didn't get deadlier until they went inland, which is something I want to showcase in my next build that I'm going to have here for Peleliu Airfield, because Peleliu Airfield was a very hard fought area, but not the only one, as there was some other areas which I would love to build in the future. I believe one of them is called Bloody Nose Ridge, correct me if I'm wrong. I'd love to build that once I get better at building rock formations. Maybe one day that's something I do a small build on. I'm not too sure. I'd love to at least have a tank for that though, so that's going to be a project for another day. But I'm just going to do a quick scan over this build and all that. So as you can see, most of these guys that are charging right there have M1 Garands that are two-tone. You can see they look pretty nice. You can see this guy here, he's just firing a bazooka at the trench because he wants to take out some of the Japanese there, where that machine gun is, right there, which I can zoom to 3x to show you. And as you can see, there's this U.S. Marine with a Thompson preparing to fire down at those two Japanese there with the Arisakas. Basically right there. And then you have that guy there, he's dead. There's that spray of fire going towards this guy because it already hit him, so it's going towards him right there. And this guy here, he's laying there in cover with a 1911, waiting for the right moment to peek out and shoot some Japanese and start advancing again. And then you can see the Japanese, some of them are advancing back here in the jungle, and then some of them are entrenched here. I just wanted it to be pretty chaotic, not really as much on the beach, but more of there. Like, yeah, it's still a little chaotic on the beach, but there's a lot more chaos in the jungle. And that's something I want to showcase on my next one that's going to be right here, which can be Peleliu Airfield. This is not the final result of the landing strip that I'm going to have, like the, whole airfield thing. This is just the basic outline of it. I wanted to have a basic outline first before I actually did anything, so that I knew what scale I needed it to be, because I'm just kind of going and measuring this and all that type of stuff. So what I got to do now is, since I went over that, I'm going to take this all apart right here, and I'm going to move to time lapses now, and you'll watch me take this a little bit and build this at the same time. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to set my phone right up there, right beside my lamp, and hopefully y'all have a good angle to watch. So as you can see, I already took apart a good portion of this build already. I took off all the trees and the soldiers, and this is all the trees. I just got to take a good amount of them apart, or at least just figure out how many I want to keep together. But for now, I might actually just keep them all together, just in case I want to put a lot of them on there. And I did find this one Japanese soldier who, both of his arms are super tight. They're not, actually that one's loose, so never mind. But you can see the problem is these Japanese soldiers, they have loose arms. So let me actually fix that. As you can see though, the thing is, his arm here, it's a little loose, not heavily, but I think these Japanese are going to look really nice on the build. If I wanted to make them kind of charge towards the airfield, maybe have a few of them on the airfield and have an American and a Japanese soldier fighting really close or something. Because, I mean, this airfield's obviously smaller than it would have been, but for the sake of scale and making this build work, I think it works, personally. I would love to go bigger, but I don't have the parts nor the money to do that. And the one thing I wish I could do is have a Japanese tank here and an American tank over there. But like I said, don't have the money, don't have, you know, anything to do that really. So it's like, not really nothing I can do there. But we're going to get back to the time lapse and we're going to take apart a lot of that there. I'm probably going to start with the water, but we'll see. Maybe I start with what's already on there. So, yeah, we'll be right back once that's done. I'm going to have the time lapse going. Alright, so I took apart a good portion of this. It's pretty flat now. I took apart a bit of this build, like, throughout the time lapses, like, out of the camera and all that when I didn't have the camera running, so there is some stuff I didn't show, but I think so far this is making pretty good progress. All I'm trying to do is I'm building this up to 2 blocks, or not blocks, bricks, because if you notice, this is how it's going to be sitting on there. If I just level it out like this, this looks fine. And I'll probably have one more plate, kind of, like right here or something. So maybe I'll have some wedges on the edge or something like that. Which, don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know. But this is going to be sliding around, really, more than likely. So that's fine. I just want to make sure that this whole thing itself can just kind of rest here and just kind of just be an airfield, essentially. That's just kind of the runway, even if it is a little thin. But like I said, for scale, you know, I mean, it's 30 or 16 by 80, so it's a thin but long build. So I'm going to continue taking apart this build, probably going to start taking it apart right there maybe, or at least this back half, because I think this back half or right there is where I have a lot of the bigger bricks, because all I'm finding right now is 2x2s, and I want a little bit more than that, which I'm thinking on the back, like right there, I want 2x4s right there, or at least just 2 right there on the bottom, and then on the top at least just have something there. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to continue taking this apart, and I'm going to keep the time lapses running. So now we're on to day 2 of this build, and we're pretty much already almost done. I did a ton off camera, just because of the fact I was doing a lot of testing and just building off camera. But I put on 3 figures so far. I'm putting on more, but I'm just currently testing a few things. I had this, since I don't have a plane, I wanted to put these 2 soldiers fighting on the runway in close quarters combat. And I'm not gonna lie, this runway is super small. It could probably fit a plane, but I don't have a plane to put on it. Like, I want to put a 0 on it, but I don't have one, is the problem that I have. So I think this looks really nice so far. Let me zoom it out a little. You can see I did try a position for making this Japanese soldier hold his rifle correctly and running. It's not too bad. But I'm still going to put a few more Japanese soldiers on here. Probably want to put 2 more running right there, firing, something like that. Maybe another here, firing. That's some American soldier right here. A few Marines back here, because that's a Marine there. Probably going to be 5 on both sides, so probably about 10 to 11 figures, maybe 12 at most on this build. We'll see when we get there. I'm not too sure exactly. But I do want to give one of them a 1911, one of them a Thompson, one of them a BAR, just to mix it up, because that was one thing I did not do in my last Peleliu build, which you saw earlier in the video. I never gave it one of them a BAR, which was one thing I didn't like. I might give one of them back here a bazooka, but not have him firing it. Might just have him kind of sitting back and kind of just running with it, or just in cover, something. I don't know, maybe taking cover behind a tree, you know, because the thing is that this is before the Japanese counterattack with tanks, is what I wanted to set this up as, because the Japanese did later on the day that, the first day of them trying to take the airfield, they counterattacked with tanks. So I wanted to have this as before the counterattack, kind of when they initially stepped foot on the airfield and all that. So that's kind of what I wanted to showcase. So I'm going to get back to this, and I'll put my phone up there for the time lapse of just putting soldiers on the build, maybe if I end up doing any final detailing. But as far as I can see, there shouldn't really be any final detailing to do. So I'll be right back whenever all the figures are on, and I'll have the time lapse going. So the Battle of Peleliu, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, happened from September 15th to November 27th, 1944. And like I also mentioned earlier, it was one of the Pacific's bloodiest battles. And the primary goal was to secure the airfield on Peleliu to support the invasion of the Philippines. Now here I have built the invasion that they have when they're attacking the airfield before the Japanese would counterattack them with tanks. And so the Americans, when that happened, would have to defend themselves with tanks, bazookas, and anything that they have to throw at them. So now we're going to talk about the actual Battle of Peleliu Airfield, which I'm going to get to that right now. The 1st and 5th Marine Regiments secured the crucial airfield located on the southern part of the island within 48 hours of landing on September 15th, 1944. On the afternoon of D-Day, which was September 15th, 1944, Japanese forces counterattacked with tanks and infantry across the airfield, which was repulsed by Marines using tanks, bazookas, and artillery. And despite heavy damage from pre-invasion naval bombardment and the battle in the surrounding area, U.S. Navy Seabees, a part of the 73rd Battalion, quickly rehabilitated the runway, making it operational in 51 hours. So now that we went over the history of the battle at Peleliu Airfield, we're going to go over the whole little, like every little detail, starting from the American Marine side down to the Japanese side here, because there isn't anything much going on the Japanese side, besides like these 2 Japanese fighting, the other 3 are running. But you got 2 Americans, technically 3 Americans fighting, and then two Marines there. One's taking cover with the bazooka, which I can probably zoom in because my camera wants to be blurry. And then you got this guy here, he's running with a Thompson. So we're going to get into that now, starting from this side and go down the list all the way to there. So as you can see, like I said, this guy here, he has a bazooka. He's just taking cover. You probably noticed in the time lapse, I had to fix the tree a little bit, which now it looks a lot better because it actually looks like he's taking cover, because it literally, like, half his body was sticking out, like, so unequally, and now it's a little more equaled out, so it's a bit better. And then, like I said, this guy here, he's running with a Thompson, which I can zoom in. That's a brick arms weapon, same with that bazooka. Let me see if I can zoom it in a little more, at least get better quality. Probably can't, but actually, it's not bad. And as you can see, there's this guy here with a BAR. He's firing at the Japanese soldier right there, firing his Type 99 machine gun. And then, if I zoom this out, you'll see this American here, who has a 1911. He's also firing at that Japanese soldier there with a machine gun. Then in the runway, I have these two soldiers here. I want to just have some sort of combat on the runway, because I think it makes the runway, like, because the runway isn't the greatest, I'm not going to lie. I think I could have done better on the runway, so I think this adds a lot more detail, a bit more depth, stuff like that, and takes away the smoothness of the runway, since I peppered around some tile pieces and cheese slopes and stuff, so it makes it a bit rougher, because like I said, the runway was not in the greatest condition, and U.S. Navy Seabees, part of the 73rd Battalion, had to go and fix up this runway, and they did that in 51 hours. So I just wanted to have some form of combat on the runway, which, as you can see, this Japanese soldier and this American, this Japanese soldier is trying to stick the bayonet in the American, but the American's fighting him off by using his M1 Garand, kind of like a shield, to keep the bayonet away from him. And then, as you can see, Japanese there, he's got a Type 99 machine gun. They got Arisakas. That guy has an Arisaka. They're all running to support that guy there and this guy here, so that they can fight off the Americans. And then I got this other guy here with a Type 99 Arisaka. I don't even know if that is Type 99, but pretty sure it is, at least off the top of my head. As you can see, I added 9 palm trees compared to the 8 that I had on my previous Peleliu build. And honestly, I'm really happy with this for what it is. So I'm like really happy with this. I think this came out pretty nicely. I'll probably keep this built for a while because I'm really impressed with this, and I think it's really nice. It's not too much space to take up like my previous Peleliu build. So yeah, I'm not going to end the video here. I have one more thing I want to say, so we're going to cut now. If there is one build I would love to do pertaining to the whole Peleliu series I was just doing with this, which I don't know if I'm going to do that one right now, like anytime soon, probably not. I would really love to do the Battle of Bloody Nose Ridge, which was a part of the Peleliu campaign, which they were basically fighting on these ridges and the caves and tunnels. That's where the Japanese were at, and the Americans basically were in this little pocket. And I just think it's really neat because I saw someone actually build that in Lego before, so I'd love to do that, maybe do some research on it if I did that, which, like I say, don't know if that's something I would do yet. I'd have to actually see what all it'd take. But that's maybe a future project, because honestly, I'd probably want tanks for that, because what I would think is you have, like, this, like, passageway, and then you have these two ridges and with caves and tunnels that the Japanese are basically fighting out of, and they can have, like, an anti-tank gun or something like that shooting down at the American tanks or something like that, which is roughly how this guy I saw did it. So I think that would be really neat to go and do that one day, whenever I actually do some more research on it, because honestly, I think it'd be really cool just to add to this series one day, but not something yet, because I want to focus on some other portions of stuff. Like, I have a canteen somewhere over there that I have not, well, I did do a video on it, but I gotta actually go and do a new one because I had a lot of wrong information in that video. So I'm gonna have to do a new one on it. So that is possibly gonna be another video I gotta make at some point, just to step away from the bigger Lego videos. But I'd love to do more of these like little short Lego builds, like the shorts and all that stuff, how I do the little 16 by 16 builds and stuff. So that might be a future project, but one day I'd love to dive into World War One and the American Civil War a bit more. So we'll see where we go with that. And so I want to leave y'all off with just saying thank y'all for sticking around. This video has been at least 15 minutes long. It's not exactly a long video, but still yet. Just want to say thank y'all for sticking around. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. And yeah, it was literally a 2-day project so far. Started recording it yesterday and basically finished recording today on Sunday, because I started recording yesterday on Saturday. So yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed it. I'm probably going to make the thumbnail here soon, after I basically stop recording right here. And yeah, currently we're sitting at 255 subscribers, and I don't know how many views currently, probably around 110,000 if I had to guess. So I want to thank y'all for all the support lately, considering I've just been doing a ton of Lego content, not what I usually do with the canteens and military items. So I want to thank y'all from the bottom of my heart for that. It's great that we're having a great start so far to 2026. And so I hope everyone's having a good year so far, considering we're already in February and halfway through February and going to be in March soon. It's crazy to think that, you know, this year is already passing by that fast. So thank y'all for all the support. And yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day and a great night. And like I say, see you all in the next video. Don't know what it's going to be or when I'm going to upload it, but we'll see. And I'm going to hopefully get this uploaded this week. Hopefully tomorrow, which is Monday, or Tuesday, which is in 2 days. So we'll see when I get this uploaded. And yeah, hopefully you all have a great day and a great night. And I will see you all in the next video.